In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on August the 11th, 2017, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel-Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on UTTV Channel 97 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement be made a part of this meeting. I would ask all to rise for the salute to the flag. Wherever the flag is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joanne, welcome back. Would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Mr. Barr? Here. Mr. Coggins?
Here.
Mr. Corson?
Present.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mayor Palumbo?
Here. Would someone like to approve the minutes from July 24th, the regular meeting and the closed session minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Hearing none. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, so we're going to do a little jostling with the agenda. I think we have two presentations this evening. I hope Paul doesn't mind with the joint insurance fund, but I'm going to go to the Economic Development Advisory Commission first, because these folks have some things to do, and I appreciate them being here this evening. So we'll do that first, and then we'll do the GIF, and then we'll come back to the report of the governing body. I am getting out of the line of fire. I've already been hit once with an ocean. My eyes kill me.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Me clear, promise?
Mayor and Committee, I'm Susan Adelise Schmidt, the chairperson of the Economic Development Commission. Our commission has been meeting for the last 5 months, and I wanted to introduce our members. They are all here tonight. I'm very excited to introduce Andy Shaw. You want to stand up, Andy? Beverly Fedorko-Ott, Joanne Gill, Maura McCrae, and Jack Griffin. And of course, our committee liaison, John Coggins. So thanks all for
Thank you for all your help. I just left Jack at the beach because he was flying for the big match that was going on down there. So that's why I'm insured.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here tonight because we have been meeting for several months, as I mentioned, and we've been discussing a lot of different aspects and assets that we have here in Upper Township. Since our initial meeting in March, we've discussed many projects, initiatives that would attract and maintain businesses here. We have reviewed the highlights from the Township Master Plan, the Smart Growth Plan prepared by Mazer Consulting, as well as the Marmora Village Center Market and Financial Feasibility Analysis that was submitted by Green Door Advisors. So initially, the EDC had discussed creating a new vision plan for the township, as has been done in some of the other municipalities surrounding us. However, we decided that after reviewing all of these plans and studies that already exist, the Commission decided to drill down on those plans and present a top 10 project list for committee to discuss and consider. With the assistance from our expert planner, Jim Mutala, he'll be providing a presentation of projects for you to consider. Jim will also be assisting the township with obtaining state and federal grants for these projects. There are 10 projects on this list, and to make your work more streamlined, the EDC has shortened the list to the top 3 projects on which we would like you to focus and review. But Jim's going to take the mic and give you the presentation on all 10, and then we can talk a little bit about the 3 that we're recommending. Jim?
Thanks, Susan. Good evening. First, before you go ahead and start looking at strategies for the future, we've got a little bit I'll show you that. And that kind of drives part of the plans for the future. Can you just move ahead? Okay. This just goes through some of the major trends in our township. One thing we have that is significant throughout Cape May County, growing tourism revenues. Over $6 billion currently, one of the largest in the state of New Jersey, and grows every year. So it's a significant revenue base. It's one of our largest assets. We've seen a decline in school enrollment, about 14% decline since the year 2000. We've really seen no population growth since the population in our township peaked in 2000. We've seen a reduction in energy receipt taxes, which obviously affects your budget, and we've seen an increase in traffic throughout our region because of tourism growth. We're going to go through some charts very quickly to kind of demonstrate the changes that occurred. This shows the decline in the county. The red line is the county population. You see that it started to decline in 2000, and it has continued to decline. All projections are forward to continue to decline. It's really been a shift in Cape May County, especially on the barrier islands, from year-round residents to second homes, and in all likelihood that trend will continue. Here in the township, this hasn't been so dramatic. You see that the population has really stabilized since 2000, and up a little bit, drop a little bit, but really is very consistent around 12,000. This is a good story. Housing prices have stabilized. Throughout our region, throughout New Jersey, we find that in some areas housing prices are continuing to decline and have not started to increase. New Jersey has had the most difficult time recovering from the recession. Here, while the decline happened around 2005, 2006, it started to recover, and developed Cape May County has started to recover, which is a good sign. This is interesting. A shift in second home sales. What we looked at was the property addresses, the mailing and tax addresses for properties that are sold in our township. And what you see up until around 2004, 2005, there was a fairly good majority of the homes that were primarily owner-occupied. Since then, that has shifted, and more and more of the homes, more of the homes have out-of-town addresses. So you see that there's starting to be a shift of second homes, of non-primary homes in our township. Building permits, this isn't new to you. Certainly, you see the decline since 2004. It's been relatively stable since then. This is huge, and it's even more dramatic in Atlantic County, which certainly affects Upper Township's economy. The drop in labor force since 2010. And when I mentioned, one of the drivers being decline in the casino industry, this starts to reflect that. 2010 was when we saw 3 casinos close. You see that the labor force in Cape May County dropped about 10,000 people. Obviously, your labor force drives everything from housing sales to retail sales to all goods and services. So it's a significant driver in our economy. School age enrollment we talked about has declined about 14% since 2000. Started to stabilize. Some of the younger classes are a little bit larger now, so maybe recovering a bit, but still something that has to be taken into consideration. And the land use in the township. A significant amount of property is in public ownership, 62%. There's not a lot of vacant developable property. A lot of property, as you well know, is owned by the state and federal government and is protected, which is both an asset as well as a detriment to economic development. And the major land use changes since 2005, continued residential development. Additional acres have been purchased in considered farmland for taxable purposes. And since 2005, we have been development of more town center. Okay, so we start looking ahead. As Susan mentioned, you have a tremendous plan use. You have a significant array of plans that are on your website, and we felt that it really wasn't necessary to reestablish those. They are grounded in good data and have some great ideas and great recommendations. So certainly we use that as our foundation. And basically the real challenge here, as you'll see as we go forward, is really implementation and how we actually make some of these things happen. One thing I'll tell you just generally, given the economy that we just laid out, the general platform that we're working from, nothing happens organically anymore in our area. If you look at the other communities in South Jersey, in Cape County, where things are happening, whether there's development, whether there's public development, private development, there's usually a final reason. Whether they're using money to initiate the development, in some cases they're using private money to make the project happen. In some cases they're using tools like redevelopment. But under our circumstances, from an economic standpoint, we don't have the economy that we had 15, 20 years ago. And probably won't for a while. So it really takes some significant work to make anything happen at this point. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, $6 million tourism base, that is significant for a county of less than 100,000 people. That is a huge driver, and that's something that we want to use to enhance our township. Another great asset that the community has is a high quality of life. Your schools, your open space, your amenities, the affordability of your housing, and the fact that you have strong sustainability effort are all things that attract people to a community like our township. And the strategy focused on developing upper as a community for all citizens. You have a community that basically can provide all services to all people. So unlike a number of surrounding communities, you really have an asset that we can build. Okay, we're going to start talking about the recommendations. And none of these are new, but we've done some work to kind of enhance them and to make them more doable. The first is the town center redevelopment or development in Marlboro. This is part of your past plans, and you've kind of built on this foundation. But the key here in making this happen is the need for sewer service. Higher density development, as you know, is dependent on sewer service. In this case, it would be a package treatment plant, a significant package treatment plant, or a sewer extension from the Ocean City plant. Those, now, we are working in a couple other communities where we're doing significant infrastructure like this. And in some cases, they're done using private funds. In some cases, they're done using developer contributions to the park. And also in at least one community, we're using redevelopment planning as a way to kind of leverage the development infrastructure. So there's a number of options that we can talk about, but that is the sewer service is really the key for one park. The potential is really changed also. As we talked about the shift in population and the shift in economy in Cape County. In the past, we looked at big store, big box type retail, and other types of uses. That really is not the trend, nor is it supported by the economics. Now we're looking at more vulnerable communities, the potential of mixed-use housing, age-restricted housing, as a portion of Morris town center redevelopment, special events, smaller boutique-type shops that specialize in needs of the new residents and the new second homeowners in Cape County, and businesses that serve those folks. So it's really a different mix than what we depended on 10 or 15 years ago.
So the
the town center, can you go back to that?
Yes.
There's two different, photos there. One is a walkable, more like, I guess, Haddonfield or something like that. And the other one sits back, and I would say, something like, the Linwood, Central Square, or whatever it's called. Okay. What would you envision more for us to utilize? Something like the one to the far right?
Something more on the right, yeah, something that's more, it's walkable, that's, but, obviously you need parking and other amenities. And then also mixed use. So you may want to consider higher density, 2, 3, 4 story uses where there's commercial or office uses on the first or second floor, and potentially residential as well to leverage the development in some areas, but really a mix. And because as we go to the next slide, the area, the TCC area is the area that we're kind of focused on, the town center core district. That's a large area. There's some significant properties there, and they could be planned together, especially the area east of Route 9. There's some significant potential throughout those properties. But you also, Route 9 is still important, and having amenities that allow that to be somewhat walkable is important as well. The next steps is consider redevelopment area designation, which will provide flexibility in land use standards and also the potential for payment of local taxes. Now, when we talk about payment of local taxes, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but everyone's not. It's not always a tax payment that is going to impact the municipal government. With payment of local taxes, the requirement is that the potential could be for the county to receive less tax dollars, but the municipal services to receive more tax dollars. In some cases, it really can be a calculation. So there's potential to look at options there. And also, the other thing that you need to consider there is the tax portion for the school district, and whether it needs to be for commercial development, whether it needs to be full taxation, or whether that can be reduced. So there's some opportunities there. Clearly, a plan for sewer service, and I know that there's been some work done on that, but to define the options there and come up with a serious plan is important. There are funding sources to implement and help implement sewer service plans. The large community in Camden County is doing a similar project. They're using New Jersey Department of Infrastructure funds to leverage the project. Those funds pay for the soft costs up front. No interest for 2 years until the project can be built, and helps them kind of leverage the project for the municipality. And then the other thing is obtaining a quality management plan through the county and through the free orders of PPP, which is a necessity. So it's a challenging goal, but it's certainly one that's achievable. Okay, second, bike pedestrian improvements. I know you've already started on this priority. Obviously, completing the link from the Broad State Parkway Bridge, which we've done in a year and a half, and connecting that potentially to the loop to Roosevelt Boulevard is important. And the county is taking efforts to try to grant the bike path through the 34th Street Bridge. Recently, as part of this planning process, we worked with their engineer and got DOT to expand their scope. Instead of just looking at the parkway and what could happen there, they're now doing a township-wide bike pedestrian plan. And you'll find that will pay huge dividends for the township, because you have DOT paying for a plan for your township, and DOT provides the funding to implement that plan. So if they're part of your plan, chances are you have a chance to get the funding to move that thing forward. So it's a great opportunity. So certainly bike pedestrian planning, especially in this community and throughout Camden County, is important. getting public input on the bike pedestrian plan. There will be public meetings as this project, as this plan unfolds. And as I said, it will provide a good foundation for grant funds. And one of the major priorities of the plan is to limit 10 villages in our township. And it's one of those, it's the type of plan that really adapts to do that through bike paths and pedestrian connections. Okay. Another opportunity we looked into was the full interchange of Route 50. And as we talked about in the past, we contacted the chief engineer at the New Jersey Highway Authority. They explained to us that they had done a plan for full interchange some time ago. They are now reevaluating those plans. They're in the process of, they have engineers working for them to look at new improvements in areas including Route 50. So it's kind of an ideal opportunity if this is a goal that the township wants to pursue. Obviously, by doing this, it provides more access throughout the county, but also leverages redevelopment in the area of Route 50 and Route 9. If the township wants to, well, just taking one step back, the New Jersey Highway Authority does not do anything unless there is total local support. We've had a lot of experience working with them. They've done some great things throughout the parkway, but only when there's local support. So the first step would be to have resolutions from the Township Committee and from the county freeholders, and to also meet with your federal state legislators and have their support as well. As you know, your neighbor to the south, Seattle City, is lobbying for a similar project for the full interchange to access Seattle City. So in a sense, teaming together, you have an agenda for King County, which possibly could gain some momentum. But now is a good time. The fact that the Parkway is revising the 1997 plans is an ideal time for the township to make their feelings known if in fact there's improvements that you'd like to see in that change. After that is the redevelopment of Central Square Shopping Center. If in fact there's improvements to the interchange of Route 50, that provides leverage for improvements to the shopping center. And certainly that would be ideal for the township as well as the area. One of the things that as we discussed the whole initiative, economic development initiative, one of the major points that was repeated is that Upper Township is really is the entrance to King County. Everyone has to travel through Upper Township. You don't have to go off the parkway. There's full interchanges. If they're invited to come off the parkway, if there's reasons for them to come off the parkway, they can all become shoppers and users of the assets that our township has to offer. So these access interchanges become that welcoming into the area. Again, redevelopment could be used to relocate the shopping center and relocate the area again and provide a little bit of additional flexibility.
Actually, the piece you have marked as a farm there, it's not that piece is marked as a farm, is not a preserved farm, it's a tax assessed farm. That could be developed.
Great, thank you. Okay. Now, the marketing side of things. Improvements are great, but word of mouth and getting information out about your community is just as important. And we talked a lot about wayfinding and branding. Upper Township has so many great assets, but they really do need to be promoted. We've received many accolades. All needs to be marketed. And each community is going about this a different way. And many that they need to do something. Whether it's something as small as issuing press releases to let the public know what's going on in the community and reaching out to other media markets to promote the community, or something larger like welcome centers and wayfinding signage and things of that nature. All these things, there are funding sources for many of these items. Wayfinding is funded through DOT grants. Marketing, the state of New Jersey has marketing funds that are offered each year. Many communities and nonprofits in Cape County take advantage of those, and that's an opportunity as well. So, obviously, some funding is needed for the promotion. That funding in each town is handled differently. In some towns, it is a rental fee. In some towns, it's part of their mercantile fee. In other towns, it's a room tax on hotels and hotels. It can be any of a number of things. But there are a number of ways to go about raising some money towards it. And then obviously, as I mentioned, once you have that, there are ways to leverage that in various grants. So there's certainly some opportunities. Sport development of new attractions. And this may mean taking a careful look at your zoning ordinance and making sure that the types of uses that are demanded today are provided for in your land use regulations. As we mentioned at the onset, big box stores are probably not the future in Cape County, but they were considered to be some time ago. But smaller operations, whether they be restaurants, breweries, or personal fitness, or any of the number of services, smaller retail, specialty retail, are all growth industries in Cape County, and they need to be accommodated by your current zoning. And then more than likely that'll become the trend, because certainly our population is changing, and the needs for Cape County, needs of Cape County residents is changing. Again, just a good example. Just recently in Linwood and in Galloway Township, new restaurants opened called The Exchange, and they are a combination of many restaurants, 5 or 6 restaurants, in one location in shared space. It was interesting for me to realize that this is a trend in California, it's a trend in Texas, and now it's just coming to New Jersey. But it's something that accommodates people's lifestyles. It provides convenient, fast food, in a sit-down environment, and a variety. And it's also a very social atmosphere. So those types of trends are continuing, and we need to keep track of the trends. We haven't mentioned them all here, but as trends occur, we need to make sure that we're accommodating that in our future regulations. Okay. Historic sites. We talked a great deal about the historic sites in the township. The township has a great history, and certainly an attraction for residents as well as visitors. Whatever the project is, we mentioned here the old township hall, but it could be anything. That type of project is certainly appealing and something that should be pursued. Second home buyers. This is a new trend, but we're saying this is a growing trend. The economies in the Barrier Islands since Superstorm Sandy has changed, especially in Cape County, but we're seeing it also in Lane County. Less families. Many of the older residents are they're impacted by Sandy or not, or are leaving the barrier islands, and their homes are being purchased, in many cases, by second homeowners who want to have their new home at the shore. That's creating a transition. It's creating higher prices on barrier islands. It's creating a different way of life on barrier islands. And there's certain affordability that is lost. And now many folks are starting to look at the areas off the barrier islands as potential second homes. They're going to see more and more potential markets that like Upper Township, where you have all the amenities of the township, as well as easy access to the beach and boardwalk and to the amenities of the seashore communities. So it's certainly something that, especially in the affordability of Upper Township, that can be leveraged going forward. These don't necessarily have to be single-family homes. We talked about mixed-use development in more. Part of that could be a second home market. The location is advantageous. We've seen that senior housing as well has been successful in Upper Township. So there's a couple markets that could be attracted in a mixed-use development, and also be attracted from a tax standpoint in the township. Strathmere, we want to leave Strathmere out. Strathmere is a huge asset in the township. 16% of the real base is made up of the village of Strathmere. So it's important. It's a growing portion of the railroad base. And one of the suggestions we had was to meet with the Strathmere Improvement Association and to really talk to them about what they see in the future, but also look at opportunities. One example, and there's many, is that the Army Corps of Engineers now is doing a 50-year plan for the Back Bay areas. They've never done this before. 20 years ago, the Army Corps of Engineers did a plan for the beach areas, and they came up with a 50-year plan for the beach areas with outrageous, very expensive improvements. They fund those improvements to the tune of 60%. The DEP matches that funding, and the communities end up paying 8 to 9% for those improvements. The same type of program is going to be established in the Back Bays because they're fragile and they need to be protected. It's important that the township have a seat at that table and be part of those discussions and have a menu of things that you want to see in that plan to help the mainland community, portion of the community, as well as traffic. So that's one opportunity. The others. As I mentioned, about the meeting with the Traffic Improvement Association, and then also really looking at ways to enhance funding for the barrier island community. Last thing is resiliency. This will continue to be an issue. It's I don't think anybody knew the term resiliency before Superstorm Sandy. Now we all the term. But certainly, the township is a community that has areas of floodplain. Those areas need to be protected. There are ways to protect them. You've done a great job. Your S5 community aid system, which is excellent. So all of your properties that have flood insurance in the floodplain is 25% discount for flood insurance. Moving forward, there are a number of homes that have lost homes to be elevated. There's funding for that, for those homes to be responded by the township. It's an issue that needs to be continued to be focused on in order to protect that part of the community. So that goes through the top 10 recommendations. There's a lot to handle. We don't expect you to respond today, but there's a couple things that we asked you to do. One is the economic real challenge here is implementation. And that's really where we need to focus. It'll take a great amount of energy from the governing body, from the community itself. One of the things we talked about in our committee meetings was having another public meeting, something where your residents can come in and comment on these priorities. Because the other thing that's very true is that nothing becomes reality if there's not a consensus. You may have the best ideas in the world, and if there's not community support, they're probably not going to happen. So consensus on ideas like this are important, and certainly the community's input is important as well. And then the other big issue is as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of creative ways of achieving each of these goals. And it would take working with the private sector as well as pursuing public sector funds and having support of your legislators. That's key as well. But certainly, we're all achievable, and I think we have a good foundation to start from, and it's a matter of moving forward. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one thing that is apparent to me that wasn't addressed is transportation, public transportation. Now, I mean, really, a lot of folks in our, have vehicles, know something. There's also a lot of individuals that need access to public transportation. And right now, the only thing that's available to them is what's being offered by the county for the seniors. And I was just wondering why that's not something that's being considered with this whole plan. And is there a reason for that, or is it something that we hadn't discussed?
No, it's just something that we discussed. It's something that certainly we can
Because I think that if we're gonna, I've always felt that the problem, it's not really a problem, it's a great problem. We're so spread out, we're 64 square miles. So you have people that are 10 miles away from where town centers are. And I think in order to make sure that there's a full benefit from it, offering some sort of transportation, whatever, and I'm not sure if maybe the future brings Uber or like all over the place or something, I don't know, but to me, it seems that we do have isolation because we are so spread out. And so to get the best benefit from it, some sort of transportation is needed in this whole package.
They looked at, obviously, a lot of bike path ideas. Has anybody considered, where BL England switching to natural gas, maybe taking that bike, that railway and making a rail to trail path?
That's a great idea. And yes, that's one of the things that one of the major things that came out in the first steering committee.
Okay.
So that's something they're going to focus on. But ideas like that, and I'm glad you brought that up. This group who is doing the transportation bike and pedestrian plan for the township, this is a significant plan. It'll take probably a year to complete, and the state's paying for it in its entirety. So if you have ideas like that, we want to make sure that they know. They research.
Well, the bike path or the rails used to go to the city, so it actually would connect to Route 9. It's there. It's clear. It's
Great.
The other thing with down at the Beasley's Point section would be the improvement of water access, and also working on the vision as far as what we expect to see in that entire area, how to rejuvenate it. I mean, with the demolition of the bridge, it's deplorable looking right now. So something to what we could do with the Route 9, not just considering bikes, the use of bikes, but fishing in the area, the use of the beach, how we can expand on the use of the beach. And I think we've done a pretty good job as far as Jit is concerned in Strathmere, but looking in the future where we can expand it to offshore, at least during the summertime, to include, campgrounds and people that are on the mainland to be able to get onto the Caribbean Islands. I've heard there's a lot of people would take advantage of it.
but again, I want to reiterate on behalf of the Township Committee, we appreciate all the work that your team has put forth here. And I know that my colleagues are certainly interested in supporting any ideas that you may have. And I guess that's my final question. Like, what grant are we going to look at, or are we considering?
Well, there's a couple things. First development requirement, whatever your public bodies require is important. I think from a timing standpoint, the Parkway issue at Route 50, if it is something that the township wants to pursue, now's the time to pursue.
The township,
Exactly.
Well, we are pursuing it. I was at a meeting last month about it. There's hurdles that have to be done through it. So, I mean, being with the right people and, stressing the need and overcoming some of the environmental issues that exist there, meaning that, that there's a lot of wetland area there that needs to be mitigated somehow. There are the things that are hurdles that we need to address. Now, there's some alternatives for a northbound exit through Butter Road where the old railroad line ran, because it's already a bridge. There's ample room to do a southbound at 20 Red, because they have the right of way anyway, heading off the Parkway. But, they're the kind of things that, we really need to sit down with, somebody, with a grant or something where, we can pursue that moving forward.
Well, there's when you talk about funding, there's a number of things that are on the table. One is there are 3 DOT grants that you can pursue currently. It's not huge dollars, $250 million for each grant. Deadline for those is October, and you may already be pursuing some projects. That's one thing. Second thing, when we look at our work, that in and of itself is a major undertaking. Potential there, it really depends on the type of way it's going to sort that area, whether it be action or so on. Depending on the option, then redevelopment for the infrastructure may be a possibility.
Now, the redevelopment zone have to go through the planning board and change the master plan, right?
Yes.
Well, yes, and it's also an ordinance from the township.
and see, I mean, and here's the nightmare, without a full exchange at 9 and 50, any redevelopment and more would be horrible for people trying to commute to work. So that's the catch-22.
Well, I'm not sure if anybody gave you this information, but we did have a feasibility study. We had an NJDOT grant about 5 or 6 years ago when we were working on the town centers. And ironically, the original plan for Route 9 in our area was for 4 lanes. Not unlike what you see on Tilton Road or something like that. But, we tried to take the path of certainly not widening Route 9 because we don't want to have all kinds of commercial properties running around that way. But, the balance would be, take care of Route 9 and 50, or, have a full interchange at 20, so that it could remain, a two-lane highway rather than 4-lane. I think 4-lane would certainly add to the congestion. I mean, it sounds like you have more space here, but that would really bottom those Roosevelt Boulevard dramatically. So, it's just trying to get to the right people at the right time.
In the Tuckahoe area, Petersburg area, I mean, we now have that beautiful roadway with this little like a landing strip at the airport. You really looked at that area as far as that's really only real scenic with the scenic river organizations and the game reserve there for nature hikes and bike paths all through that area. Also, I know you had mentioned about trying to do something we're looking at, like with the museum, it's an area that's pretty unique to this township. And I just want to make sure that we take a hard look at that. I'm starting to get more and more calls from independent business people, real estate, insurance agents that are looking to possibly move into that area and just having more of just a small commercial operation. And it's prime for that. Like I said, we do the state does very little too with McNamara Game Reserve, that whole area as far as having parking and hiking trails, and it's such a great commodity there for us.
That Cameron Park is so underutilized.
Sure.
The county has to, you ever take a walk back there? It's great area.
But again, it seems like, I think, over the years, not this committee, but we've gotten away from that, the scenic river and those attributes to this township that a lot of places don't have. We shut down Tuckahoe Beach. Another great little draw area maybe that we should look at again to have that back up and operating. It's quite quaint to be able to take your kids down there and go swimming in some place that you don't have the tides so much, and the currents, and it's fairly a safe area.
Part of that is just the market.
Sure it is.
It is a great area.
But again, I'm hoping that maybe we look at those areas also and try to include some of the marketing for that area to bring that area back.
Well, one of the things that we have on our agenda that we want to tackle is creating an asset list of all of the historical assets, just everything that we have here in the township. We all know how incredible this place is. So we want to try to get everything down on paper. It's gonna be a long list. But that's definitely something that we have on our agenda. So just to wrap this up tonight, I want to thank for his presentation, and thank you for giving us the time to come and present to you what we've been working on for the last 5 months. I also want to thank everyone on the Economic Development Commission that came out tonight. We have our full board here. They're a very enthusiastic bunch, and we're all looking to see good things happen here in the township. We hope from the 10 items that Jim presented to you that we can maybe hone in on 3. The 3 that we really like I think they were in the top 3 or 4 that were presented to you. So that's the town center, Marmora, the sewers, the wayfinding signage and the branding, the bike path connectivity, and then of course exit 20, the Route 50 Parkway connection. Those were the top 4 that we felt very strongly about that needed to be addressed. This list could have been 50 items long. There's so many great things that we could be doing here, but those are the top 3 or 4 that we really felt strongly about. So just want to note to the public as well that we meet monthly, and our next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, September 5th. We had our meeting scheduled on Monday nights. They're now going to be on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, and again, the next one is September 5th. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Appreciate it. You're all welcome to stay, but we also won't be disappointed if you decide that you need to go home too. So, all right, so the next presentation is from Paul Miola, Executive Director of the Atlantic County Municipal JIF Fund. Yes, of course. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Well, thank you for taking time on your agenda tonight. I want to talk to you about the joint insurance fund and the renewal year. So if you look at page 2 of your handout, I just want to kind of tell you about how the fund is doing and what's going on, tell you some of the resources that are available to you, and to remind you it's just values. So if you look at page 3, I like to equate the word JIF with success, and certainly being the most successful example of interlocal cooperation in the history of New Jersey. We've developed affordable coverage Here we are 30 years later with almost $31 million in surplus, almost $52 million in cash on hand, and that's really important because, you want to know that we've got the resources to pay our claims in the back of you up. If you look at page 6, very interesting here, land shift dividends. What are our dividends? This is money that would have been insurance company profits. Because the joint insurance fund is not an insurance company, but a joint insurance of local municipalities, every penny that is not spent on claims and operations is returned to the members as dividends. And since our inception, we've returned almost $31 million in dividends. Last year, $2.5 million was returned, and we're looking to return at least that much this year. You folks have received over $73,000 in dividends, including almost $32,000 this past year, and you see your dividends are beginning to increase. Page 7, little red ink on that page, you'll note your loss ratios over the past few years have been over 100%. If you think of loss ratio, you want to think of a golf score, not a bowling score. What that means is, just as an example, that I'll just look at page 7, 2017 thing there. You'll note that 106% loss ratio means that for every dollar that was paid into the JIF loss funds, $1.06 was paid out in claims. And then you look backwards over the years. So really, it's not a great story there, but it's improving, and that's the good news. Page 8 talks about the fact that because all the members of the JIF collectively are doing a good job, we've actually been able to reduce our budget over the past few years, and that's paid off for Upper Township because of the JIF. Those loss ratios haven't really hurt their assessment to any large degree. Your rate of increase is averaging about 2.5% over the past few years. And if you just imagine if that had been an insurance company suffering those types of claims, your premiums would have been rocked. So I think that seeing an increase from your last renewal in 2014 to today, only 8.5% over that 3-4 year period, says a lot for the stability that the joint insurance fund provides to our county. I have some good news on page 10. You'll see a very steady increase in your dividends. Now you're really beginning to hit your stride in the joint insurance fund, and we're beginning to see a lot more dividend releases. 2014 it was only $3,600 in dividends paid to you, $11,600 the following year. Last year about $32,000, and we're looking at approximately $38,000 in dividends this year. So we're certainly on a good track there. Page 11. So why are we so cost effective? Well, number one, we're not an insurance company, so there's no driving profits. Number 2, because we are a quasi-public agency under 40A, we pay no taxes. So that gives us a unique advantage over insurance. And number 3, there's no residual marketing costs. What do I mean by that? Well, there's an assigned risk plan in New Jersey for automobile and workers' comp. Regular insurance companies have to chip into that pot, help bail out the assigned risk plan. We don't have to do that as a JIF. And our lower overhead. We're running the JIF on about 12 cents on the dollar, all of our operations, which is phenomenal. Insurance companies think about 3 times that much to run their insurance company. Page 12, I also talk about the fact that we have great medical cost control. We know that if we get employees to the right doctors quickly and give good medical care, the outcomes are going to be far better, so we don't chintz on that. Litigation management, we have a very strong team of attorneys located right down here in Atlantic and Cape May counties, headed by Dave Luis, who is our fund attorney. And then the members buy into the programs, the safety, the claims management, the risk management, and the wellness programs. And that really is important. We want to know that the other counties in the JIF are taking safety seriously. Page 13, I talk about the fact that we are a local organization in Atlantic and Cape May County. So the policy decisions in the JIF are driven by your neighbors. We have monthly peer meetings where we get together and we talk about the issues facing the JIF. Provides built-in networking opportunities to talk about things that are happening in your town, types of claims that we're having, and great collaboration among the member municipalities. And again, most importantly, all the members of the JIF are pulling the road in the same direction. We have safety committees, safety committee meetings, special events, training, and so on and so forth. Page 14, I'd just like to show you your neighbors that live in JIF with you. You can see that these are all local towns. Every town in Cape May County is a member of the joint insurance fund. So These are the folks that you're sharing the risk with. It's good to know that they take it seriously. Page 15, like the state starts here in council chambers. Mayor and council need to support the risk management and loss control programs and claims programs with the joint insurance fund, because then that emanates down to your staff, your administration, and important, very important role played by your risk management consultant. Page 16, I'll talk about the personnel that you really need to support. Jay Potter, he's your safety coordinator. He's the liaison between the GIF safety director and the township. He chairs your safety committee. And he also makes sure that when we get the safety info in, he disseminates it to the right people in town. Terry Smuzz works as your claims coordinator. When you do have a claim, you want to make sure that it gets submitted and that the employee is taken care of, so she knows how to handle that and how to stay in touch with the claims people. Terry also serves as your fund commissioner. And Terry does a great job representing Upper Township's interest to the Atlantic County JIF. She attends her monthly meetings. As a matter of fact, her fellow members thought a lot of Terry, and she chaired the fund most recently. So she does a great job. And as you know, Terry is not shy about speaking up, attending committee meetings, and you know, telling us things that perhaps we as professionals need to hear from municipal operations perspective. And then finally, Tom Ice. Tom, your risk management consultant, he is not your insurance agent. He doesn't represent an insurance company. He represents Upper Township. He has a contract with Upper Township. He makes sure that you're getting the professional advice and guidance that you need to get the most out of your joint insurance fund. Page 17, we're constantly pushing the envelope. Yeah, we're very successful, but we have to constantly be looking at what's going down the road. Drones, for example. We're seeing nationwide that the municipal government is starting to take advantage of using drones. And we've always carried what's called non-owned aircraft coverage. If you were to bring in a helicopter and evacuate somebody, or if there was an event of a helicopter being used, we've always provided coverage to protect you should this happen occur. Well, this year we've added actually owned aircraft coverage for drones. As long as you submit the information and you're in full compliance with the FAA guidelines, and you use a drone for medical purposes, perhaps inspecting beaches, inspecting rooftops, your buildings, things of that nature. I know some OEMs are starting to use them. We're going to provide the coverage at no additional premium. Our wellness program, we recognize that helping employees must completely injured on the job and recover more quickly. So we have a wellness director comes around, visits with the towns, helps develop their own wellness programs locally, and also we have a section on our website dedicated to wellness, and we put out a monthly newsletter. So please try to take advantage of that. Finally, cyber. Not a day goes by that we don't hear about some organization being attacked by hackers. We have the coverage, the resources, the training, and also we provide on-site assessments. Last year we went here to Upper Township. We had a consultant come in, look over your operation, we produced a report that gave you an idea of what you need to do to secure your own facility. So we're going to have additional training on that. If you look at page 18, we also provided an incident roadmap to security each member. So it's an example. You come into town hall on Monday morning and find out that you can hack, that there's a message on your computer that says you're locked out of all your files. If you don't pay us this ransomware, we're going to destroy it forever. This roadmap tells you exactly how to handle that. And basically, by calling this 800-855 number on here, you're going to get guidance. These people are going to come in, they're going to work with you. We just had an incident up in Burlington County. They were back up and running within 3 days and never had to pay the ransom. So please, this is very, very, very important. If you do suspect that you've had an incident here, make sure that you follow this roadmap, because these people will get you back. And that's included in your
Can I ask you a question on that? Will they also work with, if we outsource it, we have professionals that are doing it for us? In fact, we've invested a substantial amount of money this year because of the random attacks that have been taking place to enhance our security. And so I guess my question is will they work with our outsourced IT provider?
Absolutely. Things that they'll do is, for example, there are what's called red flag rules. You have to notify the state authorities, the federal you have people in Pennsylvania and Delaware that own property, and their information is compromised. You have to notify the state authorities of Delaware and Pennsylvania. This program does all that on your behalf. If you have to issue notifications, ads in the newspaper, they take care of all that for you. So working with your IT provider and with your township administrator here, absolutely that would take place.
And Mayor, we have shared their survey report with IT provider, so they're knowledgeable.
And we'll have continuing training on that as we move forward. So I want to thank you very much for your role with the bid, for the valued member of the Joint Insurance Fund, and I know you've got a heavy agenda tonight, so I won't take any more of your time, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I think you covered it. We have, we certainly appreciate what Terry and Tom do for us, as well as you guys.
Jay Potter.
And Jay Potter, excuse me, you're right. And, you know, we're happy to be a part of it, and you know, we've seen success with it. And, you know, some of the early stumbles that we had or hiccups, we seem to be able to address, so.
I think our loss ratios improved with the institution of our automated trash trucks. I think helped out a lot.
Thank you, we appreciate it. And you guys as well are welcome to stay, but if you have things to do, or places to drive, no offense, I'm sure you hear that everywhere you go.
My wife said I never take her out, so I brought her down.
Ah, that's a great night out. I'd be stung big time with that one.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tom, we almost had a claim. I actually wiped out on the beach, and I'm just kidding. No, I was riding the waves in, you know, breaking all the rules, I guess. I don't know.
Lifeguards didn't have to rescue you, did they?
All right, so let's go back. We'll start with you, Scott, on the report from the governing bodies.
Very good, thank you. Just have two things this evening, Mayor and Committee. First, I wanted to acknowledge our Upper Township Beach Patrol. They with their team, they produced and directed a safety tip video for safety during the 2017 season and also in the future as far as beach safety is concerned and proper swimming safety. As you know, we're right in the middle of the hurricane season here, coming up on the middle of it, the 21st of this month, and we do have a tropical storm right now, maybe even by the end of this evening, should be a Hurricane Gert. Not projected to hit our area, but the effects of that will be felt as far as the
Rough seas.
increased rough seas, exactly,
Rip tides.
which we experienced, and the rip tides, rip currents. So they're all the things that were covered in this safety video. And it is now, we placed it up on our Upper Township website, so it is visible for all the community to take a look at. And like I said, they produced it themselves. I think they did an excellent job, and it's a lot of good information for anybody that...
And they utilized the drone.
And they utilize the drone, absolutely, yes. The other thing I have is our commercial trash dumpsters, which I indicated we have received during our last committee meeting. Roy Schoen, our Director of Public Works, has advised me that all of those have been assembled, just waiting for some stickers to come in, and then also the RFID readers for each one of those. We were going to wait wait to receive those units, to have them installed. They have to be pop-riveted on the side of the commercial dumpsters. But what we've decided to do is, since they're all assembled, I think we're just waiting for the stickers, is that correct? Which should be in any day. Once those stickers are put in, those will be disseminated to the individual commercial establishments that have requested them. And then we'll just go back out and we can easily drill the holes and pop-rivet the readers.
Do we have extra ones?
Yes.
Okay.
We actually bought additional ones, yes.
And what's the turnaround if we need more, approximately?
Well, they are the 10 gauge, so it does take a little bit longer. I think, what did we look at? Maybe 4 to 6 weeks on them, so.
Are the schools included?
I don't believe so, are they? The schools?
Yeah, the schools.
Yeah, we did factor them?
Okay.
And that's it.
Roy, I want to acknowledge, your department, because we've been seeing all kinds of reports, and they're really informative to me, and I'm sure to the committee, and, I want to thank you for, working that out and working with Scott in providing those reports. And to acknowledge the Rescue Squad, they have been providing reports, but it really is good for us to know what's going on, and it's greatly appreciated. So. Welcome back, Joanne.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're back. I know that you had a little tough time there.
We missed you last meeting.
Yes.
Yes, we did. I'm sure Dan missed you too.
It took three people to fill in for you.
We're glad you're back.
Thank you. I have nothing to report, though.
Okay.
No,
Daniel.
Nothing at this time, but we do have a number of contract negotiation and some personnel matters for closed session.
Okay. Paul.
Thank you. We did receive notice that the DOT has put out the request for DOT projects for next year, and I was going to recommend continuing with the reconstruction of Bayview Drive, where we started and we did 3 blocks to start another block and a half and continue that project. It's in committee. We'd like to submit that as our local project. That was my recommendation.
Yep.
The next item I had. Here again, we've gotten another request for speed humps on Francis Drive. They sent in a petition of 14 residents on the street. This one's a little tougher in that most of the other locations that we put them in are on a through street or have a much larger subdivision behind them, like Sunset Acres and some of those other ones where there's 100 homes. Francis Drive has it is the longer straight road, but it's a very limited in number of residents compared to some of the other locations that are in through streets and stuff like that. So I just had gotten that request and still going to be evaluating that to make a final recommendation.
Have we talked to other residents on the street?
As far as the number of residents, yes.
No, I meant, have we talked to other residents to see if they have interest besides the individual that put in the request?
Not beyond the petition. That's part of what I want to do is on a plot where all those residents are on the street and get a feel for some of the, are they just all in front or are they just all in the back? Try to get a geographic location of where they're at before we make our recommendation. Look to see, do we need to really survey the whole street in that case?
The problem is with that street, it's a long street, and there is a lot of on-street parking there. And it is, I can see where, as a parent, you would be concerned with young children.
Let's see, because of that, because it is a little narrower and there's a lot of on-street parking, that tends to traditionally slow traffic down. Unlike, some of the other wider streets that are 38 feet wide, where there's not a lot of, let's say, there's not a lot of on-street parking, the traffic speed, I think, does increase. I think Francis Drive is not necessarily in that same category because of the on-street parking and the narrowness of that.
I do think Francis Drive, I lived on it years ago, but seems to draw a lot of the younger couples with younger kids due to the affordability and different things. So I know, cars used to race up and down there all the time when I lived there. And I was down there a couple weeks ago and I saw more kids than I've ever seen on that street. So I think it's something we should take a really healthy look at for safety issues on that road.
I know I've talked to Scott about it. I'm a firm believer in this. I've done it in my previous career. We need to start producing some type of an analysis. And before we know it, we're going to be putting speed bumps in every neighborhood. And what I'm saying is we need to reach out to another organization, somebody that has the technology in which we could put counters out there, check to see the volume of traffic and the speeds that these vehicles are allegedly doing in these areas. And, we got to come up with a more informed decision for these speed bumps.
I think you'll find a
I
lot
mean, if
of,
we're putting $5,000 into a speed bump and it's not really a problem, we're not keeping an eye on the ball here. So,
We had similar requests, as I mentioned, last committee meeting over in Stratford for just that. Paul and I did have a discussion regarding it, and I shared with him our comments. I did reach out to the county and wait for Tim Donahue to get back to me just for those as an option to either provide some sort of a trailer that's going to record speeds and get that data that we need.
I mean, even if we reach out to another municipality that has that technology, I'm sure that they'd help us out somewhere along the way.
I mean, I'm sure, just the nature of the street though, I mean, it's not a through street. The speeders are all residents.
Well, unfortunately, that's what ends up happening. You find out if you send a unit out there and you're on radar and you start ticketing people, you find out that it's the neighbor. And that's pretty much what happens all the time.
Well, the downfall is we can't depend on the state police be enforcing it, so.
You say if 14 people signed the petition?
14 different homes or 14 people?
14 different homes.
Were there 30 homes on that street?
40 homes on the
That's
street.
50% of the homes.
50%
so
of the
it's,
homes.
you know, it's pretty
Keep the
substantial.
petition going and then narrow it down to the ones that don't sign it. You'll know who the speeders are.
I'll tell you what, if those solar blinking speed signs were, you know, reasonable cost, I have to tell you, admittedly, you come up to that and that thing's blinking, you slow down. I mean, it really has a tendency to make you look at your speed on, yeah.
The only bad part, like on Stagecoach for Hook Corson, you see the one up on Catherine flashing, and it kind of takes your mind off the one that's right in front of you, you know? But they
Well, the
definitely-
one that I'm thinking of is on Old Tuckahoe Road heading back, because when I leave this meeting, I pass it right before I get to the church up there.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I'm always like cognizant, if I'm not slowing down, I'll be slowing down because I see that flashing thing going, you know.
What is the cost of those?
For the,
$1,000, wasn't it?
You're talking about the stop signs? What was the
I'm
cost of the stop signs?
talking about the one that gives you this digitally, the speed.
No, like the one up by Caldwell Park.
Oh, I know.
I think they
That-
paid
that one gives you
$1,000 for
speed,
it, didn't
they were a couple $1,000. If you included installation and all that.
I mean, they're very effective.
You know, and again, we don't have an in-house police department, so a couple $1,000 to increase the safety of our residents is well spent and offsets, you know, possible a greater cost down the road. So,
Well, maybe something
Whatever we
we could look at down the line where we could strategically put them random, you know, and based on a plan, you know.
yeah, I think we should definitely look at it.
And then the final item we had was Scott and I have been working with County OEM and some of the other different municipalities in the township in applying for a FEMA hazard mitigation grant to do some house raising and elevations in some of our flood-prone areas for some of the severe repetitive loss properties, and just trying to come up with a strategy. And we had sent out some notices and looking for information. About 6 people that responded back of our approximately 25 houses that would be eligible for this elevation program. To develop the program and join with these other municipalities to kind of do a joint application, it would be approximately $1,200 to $1,500 per home to kind of go through the process. And at this point, I think it's okay to participate in that. We're looking to make that as an application fee for the applicant to participate instead of using taxpayer dollars to kind of fund that process for a limited number of times.
And this is a national competitive grant also. We've applied before as far as the county is concerned, and the probability is better because we haven't applied before, but it is nationally competitive, so there's no guarantees that we can get this. So I just want to point that out.
And as we do get the grant money, those application fees would be, an eligible expense for the homeowners.
So if we apply for the grant money, and you said there's 6 out of 25 that's eligible, what happens if some of the other individuals want to do that? Do we wait till the next time, or how do we do?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to send out another notice this month to everybody, get on the list saying, hey, this is our, last chance call for this grant round. If they don't apply this year, I anticipate, that we'll apply for another round. Some of the other towns, like Ocean City and Seattle, they're in the third round of applying for this grant.
Are any of those 25 homes in the foreclosure?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Okay,
So I just want to make sure the committee's okay with us proceeding with that. And,
I would say yes.
Yes.
okay. That's all I have for proceeding. Thank you.
Okay. Barbara?
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Coggins?
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Young?
Welcome Joanne back. Janet and Karen did a fantastic job under a very tough situation
Yes,
with
they
Barb
did.
being out and you
Yes.
being out. And I think, I commend the job that they did there in short staff. So, a couple things I have. First thing is we discussed at the last meeting about the pumpkin run, the car show, bringing it to Amanda's Field. I've done some legwork on it. I've met with Scott. I've met with, talked to Roy about it. Talked to Jay about it a little bit. And I'd like to introduce, in the back is a good friend of mine who has been involved in the pumpkin run since he was born. And that's Rick Brochard. Rick is a Upper Township resident, and his dad was one of the originals for the pumpkin run. And Rick has volunteered to work with me hand in hand to put this together. So thanks, Rick. Volunteers are tough to find as somebody, putting together a program like this. So welcome aboard with it.
Did you come up with a date with that?
November the 4th. The date will be, that's the normal date for the pumpkin run. This will be run exclusively as a sponsored Upper Township event. We are only going to be using the name of the pumpkin run for the publicity part of it, since it has already been going on for 20 years. It lends credibility to what we're going to do. I met with Scott. We went over a layout plan. I met with Rick and with Harry Fleming, and went over Amanda's Field with what we have there and what we can do, and it's really suited for putting an event like this on. So what we came up with, and again, discussing it with Roy and Dwayne, is to utilize the bike path as the driveway for the street rods. The speed bumps that are there are too high, and most of the street rods that go in there are about 4 inches off the ground, and they'll be tearing the exhaust system out of them. So if we can use Sunset Acres, the drive coming into Sunset, immediately turn onto the bike path, and in talking to Roy, utilize the front big field with some lining and parking spaces delineated and sprinkler heads covered and those kind of things. Park the majority of the street rods in that big field, so it's out front and visible, and we'll be monitoring, parking them, bringing them down, so there will not be any damage to the field. Everything will be in a controlled basis. Plus, we get to ask for or charge each street rod that comes in, and Dan and I will be talking about that later.
There's an ordinance on tonight's agenda for it.
Yeah. This will be a benefit for Upper Township special events. So every dime we make into this will go towards special events, whether it be promoting another program, building a stage, whatever it's going to take to enhance our program. We talked possibly 400 cars, 500 cars in that area. At that point, we have to decide how much we're going to charge. But if you base it on 400 cars at $20 a piece, that's $8,000. They also charge all pedestrians to come in. The pumpkin run charged $8 a head. Mr. Fleming recommended, since we're not well known, and we're just using his name, that we lower that down to $3 to $4 a head. Again, if you have 1,000 people come in, there's a potential for another couple $1,000 to be coming into our special events.
I think we should have kids free.
Well, kids, I think kids are free, right? It's just adults. Over 12 or something pay, if I remember correctly. So, we have all that in place. We're not going to do the pumpkin chunker. As far as I know right now, that's something we'd have to get cleared through JIF also. But that's like a big air cannon that shoots pumpkins and destroys cars about 3/4 of a mile away. Great draw. but I think it's too much for this year to even try. We are going to be bringing in, they have what they call garden tractor pools, which is just a smaller size of what you watch on TV. And in talking to Roy and the people I need to talk to, we can do that in the back on the gravel parking lot area. It's only going to take a small area where the softball fields are. So all of those kind of things and power stuff will be back in that parking lot. And that'll be separated from the rest of the crowd, but it gets everybody around the entire complex. As far as I know, we're going to be bringing the steam engine in, the big steam tractor. And that's something that has to be back there too, because it's an old steam tractor and has steel cleats for the wheels. And I think you've seen it, Kirk, one he always has over there.
Is that
Over
Alan Samuelson's?
I don't know who it is, but
If it's Alan's, I've driven it.
there's some of those issues, I know, some of these vendors we're bringing in are public draw. And that's why Harry always brought them in. There could be some cost as far as a couple $100 to bring them in, but everything they do is free. But again, it's based on helping to bring the people in. We're going to continue having vendors. Our food truck vendors will do just like we did 4th of July and put them all in the horseshoe part of the parking lot. That way anybody that has air conditioning running on their trucks or anything will be on a hard surface, so we don't ruin our grass. And then any other vendors we have come in will be set up in the big field by the old refreshment stand, just like we do at 4th of July, along with music and everything will be set up there. The biggest thing we're going to need on this is a lot of publicity. We're going to be forwarding Mr. Fleming's email list, which is quite substantial, to everybody that ever partake in this, as well as all his public relations people. And, so it's going to take a lot of work by a lot of people. And I think, in looking at the basic numbers we're going to need, it's going to be somewhere probably around 40 volunteers, I would think. Are you right? Because we have people who have to register the cars, collect the money, people to work the gate collecting money. We're going to need people dealing with trash cans, any other issues we have. So it's going to be a substantial undertaking that I think will be a phenomenal draw, community-wise and for the whole South Jersey area, to get people here to see what we offer and where we're heading here. If you don't know Harry's quite the character. They were on the TV show was
Pickers.
The Pickers. Yeah, he was on the Pickers, and it was pretty funny with Harry with the other two. But spending the time with him, he is going to continue to try to have this taken back over to Egg Harbor Township for next year. That's a major fundraiser that he does for the I think it's the Scaldville Fire Company, and he doesn't want to take that away from them. So this could very well be a one-year deal for us. And he said, I hate to tell you I'm using you, but, he wants to see this continue going. So I let him know that we're also going to be using him, because I'm hoping that with people coming here and looking at our show, if we put it on, next year for the Fall Fest, we incorporate a really big car show with our Fall Fest and make that one of our bigger events for the year. So it's going to lend credibility to everything that we do out in Mansfield with our events. So, again, I just want to introduce you to Rick so everybody knows who he is. I'm going to need a vote by Township Committee tonight that you're going to endorse this and that this is going to be a sanctioned Township function so that we can move forward with it under our special events. So I'd ask for a motion for that.
I'll second.
No, he needs the motion first.
Oh, I thought that was a motion.
No, well, I really don't feel right making a motion since I'm the one putting it.
I'll make it in the form of a motion.
And
Hey,
I'll second.
okay, is there any further discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes,
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you very much. I think you're going to enjoy this day. It's going to be a good one. And if it does rain, we will take all the cars will be parked along the bike path, not on the fields. We have enough room there to put them right around the entire bike path, and I think that'd be pretty nice also, if we need to do it. And I'm sorry, I got a few things here. I've been out of commission myself, so, Roy, I left a message for Scott. I think I talked to Scott. Thursday night, football is having their Ocean City Upper Township practice and barbecue. And Larry called and asked if we could get tables and chairs out there, whether it be picnic tables or folding tables and chairs or whatever we can do. Starts at 4 o'clock. I'm not sure how many, but we can find that out. As far as the area around the refreshment stand, I went by there today, and it's still pretty rutted up from where they put the irrigation, and they just kind of left it that way. We've got a couple hundred kids running around there right now. So if we can, make sure that that's raked and cleaned up, and that the bathrooms are operating right, because we're bringing in a lot of people again from Ocean City to here. It's starting to come together well.
We were going to start to do some digging out, forming up for the concrete sidewalks. You think we're going to wait till after this?
Yeah, wait till afterwards, because, if we can't get it up and done and cleaned up, then there's no sense doing it between now and Thursday. And then I will need a ballpark time on the irrigation, and when we can put sod in there. I gotta get the topsoil in.
Irrigation's all done.
That's in, but I mean, we still gotta finish grading and topsoil that area.
Poured concrete sidewalk,
Yeah.
graded all.
So, only so I can coordinate with Tucko Turf, because there's talk that the Chickie's gonna get us the sod as a donation. And when he calls and says, I have a couple hundred square feet left over, or whatever he has each job, I don't wanna have to say, we're not ready for you.
Well, it's real close.
Okay, if you can, just stay in touch with me, all right? Amanda's Field, we're working on baseball fields. I know we have one scoreboard up, Mike, or two now that's up and operating. We're getting closer. We have designs for a press box. It's one building, I think we might have discussed it before, that's 15 by 30. We designed it so it has 45-degree angles on the ends. We can announce 3 games out of one building. And it'll give us a 15 by 30 storage area underneath. Instead of having the metal boxes all over the place, we'll be able to utilize it. Biggest thing we're going to have now, again, is the cost factor. So we'll have to get together with that. Pumpkin Run, we did Fall Fest. I had to meet with Shauna to see if she wants to do that in conjunction with the Pumpkin Run, or if we want to keep that as a separate entity, only because we've had it that way. And I don't want to put this whole burden of the car show on her. So something we'll have to talk about. And can we say anything about the building with open space as far as?
Well, we do have that as a closed session item. I think the details of the agreement should be discussed in closed session before
we make that
any
announcement?
announcements or actions taken.
I just want to make sure that kind of, maybe
No,
we
it's
will
just
have-
progressing, and we're going to talk about a proposal in closed
Okay,
session.
that's fine. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Mr.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Corson.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. I just want to acknowledge the rescue squad and the lifeguards. They assisted Strathmere and then I guess ultimately Ocean City. They had an individual that had a cardiac arrest and actually had died, and they used the AED and revived him and used CPR. So it was a good team effort on Saturday. They also had some rescues. I would caution everyone that's watching maybe the video that there is some extreme rip currents and some strong waves. I can attest to that, as I have quite a nice little injury on my eye and forehead from riding the waves, body surfing as it were. So be very cautious, because last week 2 individuals drowned in Sea Isle. One broke his neck, from what I understand, from doing exactly what I was doing. So maybe I should stop doing it. According to my wife, I shouldn't be doing it anyway. But
Because you're older people.
that's what she said. You're not 20 anymore, But I do enjoy doing it.
Yeah, scorpion's a little tough on the head when it starts straight drop off.
Yeah. So like I said, proof positive. Be careful. And then I also, Jack was there. They had quite a tribute to the church over in Strathmere, and it was well attended. Like 600 people were there, and the Strathmere Volunteer Fire Company assisted with a lot of things, as well as the lifeguards. Father Pete actually took the rowboat out and blessed the sea. So maybe that will help us get through the year, so we have no incidents or any other issues with respect to bathers. But I would again remind everyone to swim in front of the lifeguard stands when you're in Strathmere. let's enjoy the rest of the summer. So,
You take the Palumbo boat?
he took the Mayor Palumbo boat out. Yeah, he did. And I told them specifically, because Captain Hanley was one of the rowers, do not let him fall out, okay? So,
Jonah in the wheel.
he did stand up and threw the reef, so I guess he had some confidence what was going on there. So it was a really nice attended affair, and that's the kind of stuff that we like to see our local churches and charitable organizations get together with things like that. So with that, we have a number of resolutions. So Joanne, you're back. You should have seen the tag team Dan and I had while you were out at the last meeting. I had to remind them to call the vote quite a bit, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I walked in the office, she was laying on the floor laughing, she had the headset on.
You were missed. So was Barb.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 3, congratulating the Upper Township Girls Softball Major Division team on becoming the 2017 Little League Girls Softball Major Division New Jersey District 16 champions.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Recognizing Cape Regional Medical Center for their generous contribution toward the Upper Township annual 4th of July celebration.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins? Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Recognizing Shauna Mulford as a special event coordinator for the Upper Township 4th of July celebration.
Move the resolution.
Second. Well, so that's John.
I'm not doing it anymore.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 6, authorizing change order number 2 for the 2016 paving contract with respect to work paid for by the Upper Township School District, resulting in an increase in the amount of $25,483.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Renewing Echo Farms campground license.
Move the resolution.
Second.
And Dan, this falls within the time period that we
They
talked
had their
about?
inspections, everything's up to date, satisfactory, so they did what they said we were going to do at the last meeting.
Okay. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Abstain.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 8, releasing the maintenance guarantee of Thomas T. Tower for the major subdivision known as Advantage Drive.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 9, authorizing the chief financial officer to withdraw funds in the amount of $507.24 from the account entitled Recycling Trust Account to pay for recycling collection supplies.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. 10, authorizing a contract with TAG Consulting Group for the preparation and maintenance of the township's fixed assets accounting and reporting system.
Motion to authorize.
Second?
And this is the discussion that we had at our meeting with John, and that's great.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson? Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Appointing Theodore F. Cooper Jr. as a temporary employee to the Upper Township Construction Code Office to serve as construction official and building subcode official on an as-needed basis.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Appointing James A. Cotton as a temporary employee to the Upper Township Construction Code Office to serve as plumbing subcode official on an as-needed basis.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Appointing William Hoffman as a temporary employee to the Upper Township Construction Code Office to serve as fire protection subcode official on an as-needed basis.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. 14, appointing Theodore F. Cooper Jr. as a full-time employee to the Upper Township Construction Code Office to serve as the construction official and building subcode official.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Canceling taxes on exempt property, Block 450, Lot 3.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Tax refund for Block 723, Lot 6, Block 567, Lot 45.09, Block 667, Lot 7, Block 687, Lot 14, and Block 567, Lot 18.09.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. 17, authorizing the Township of Upper to accept the transfer of a surplus vehicle from the County of Cape May.
Move the resolution.
Second.
And this is for the OEM?
This is a 5-ton New Jersey surplus vehicle we've had in our possession since 2013, right after, or excuse me, during Sandy's 2012. And we just transferred tags basically and ownership now from the county to us.
Apparently, we did an audit and discovered that they never transferred the tags, even though they gave us possession of the vehicle. So this
Were we paying insurance on it? No. No?
Yeah.
Did we want to accept it? I'm just kidding. Because we've actually used we used the second one, right? During, what was the storm? It wasn't Sandy, it was the winter one, right? Jonas.
The second one's actually the better of the two.
Right.
This one is
Shake
in
it.
good shape.
Okay, we're going to paint it that blue again? I knew you were going to say that. Just checking. Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Appointing the 2017 season beach patrol personnel contingent upon background clearance.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes, and what's happening with this, because you asked the question, is that we have a lot of the kids going back to college early. Many of our lifeguards this year are going to southern schools, and a lot of them are already starting or they're heading down this week. So we're bringing in some of the guards that have been there in the past for us, and so we're just supplementing. But for those that haven't gone through the background check, in order for them to be hired, they have to pass all that.
So these are veteran lifeguards?
Yes. Maybe someday I'll sit on the stand, who knows? But not with injuries like this, so like,
You're not allowed in the water.
yeah, really.
I haven't seen that.
Ankle high,
Notes first.
yeah. Go ahead.
Number 19, authorizing the purchase of certain items from the
Wait, did we
2016.
vote on that?
Oh, we did. Yeah, you're right.
I don't think,
Sorry,
was there a
I went
motion?
on a tangent
Second?
there.
Did
We
vote?
voted on the seasonal.
Okay, all right,
We did vote on the seasonal.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
all right.
Authorizing the purchase of certain items from the 2016 capital improvement bond ordinance in the amount of $14,980.94.
Motion to authorize?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Authorizing participation in the South Jersey Power Cooperative for electric service.
Motion to authorize?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Authorizing the purchase of a 2018 Freightliner 108 SD 70 dump truck in the amount of $142,044 through the Houston Galveston Area Council National Cooperative Contract with funds from the 2016 Capital Improvement Bond Ordinance and 2017 Road Repairs and Maintenance Operating Expenses Budgetary Line.
Did you repeat that
Move the
again?
resolution.
That's a mouthful. That is a long description for a dump truck, but.
Delivery.
I didn't get the second. I'm sorry.
Second?
It's okay. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Are
Yes.
they delivering that or are we sending drivers?
Did they say when they anticipated delivery?
It doesn't come from Texas. It doesn't come from Texas.
No.
No.
D-Hart's gonna be doing the body
Yeah.
work, so it'll be end up in thoroughfare, hopefully.
They'll be done.
All right, so we have reached the ordinance. You want to read the public, I mean, this is the final hearing, so we have to have a public hearing, but,
Public hearing and final adoption of ordinance number 9, 2017, an ordinance amending revised general ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration, and Chapter 5, Personnel of the Code of Upper Township.
okay. Is there any discussion before I open it up to the public? Is anyone from the public here to address the ordinance 9, 2017, which references administration and personnel?
Hearing no public comment, Mr. Mayor, I move we make a motion to entertain ordinance number 9.
Well, we have to close the
Yeah.
public hearing, so we're closing that. Now you
And I'll
can
make a motion we adopt ordinance number 9 in 2017.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second to adopt. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 23, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 11, 2017, an ordinance amending ordinance number 17, 2016, known as the salary ordinance for the calendar year 2017.
Motion to introduce.
This would be September
Second,
11th.
and what will be the date?
September 11th.
September 11th.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Introduction and first reading of ordinance number 12, 2017, an ordinance amending Chapter 26 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Upper, which establish requirements for the use of township facilities.
Dan, this is the one we had discussed.
This is for the fees for participants.
Guys, what it says for use of facility, I just want to make sure everybody's clear what this is, so that we can set fees if requested.
Right.
Committee
What'll happen
consent.
is, it'll be by resolution on any township event. We'll do a resolution, this is what admission will be, this is what a vendor's cost will be. If there are participants in the event, this is what participants would have to pay, and any conditions you might want to put
Okay,
on.
just make sure it's clear.
Just makes it, gives you the authority to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so that law, do you want to make the motion to introduce?
I need this up and running. Are we going to be able to do this by November the 4th?
September 11th.
will be
All right,
the-
well, that's fine, I just want to make sure. As far as most soon as available date.
So you're making a motion to introduce?
Yes.
For September 11th, okay, with the public hearing on September 11th. I'll second that.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Under new business, bid results for replacement of Webster Avenue bulkhead.
All right, Paul, you want to tell us what's going on?
Yeah, this is for the replacement of the Webster Avenue bulkhead. It's where the top lot is over shot there. Bulkhead is in deteriorating shape. We put the project out to bid. We had 9 contractors review the bids, 7 bidders bid on the project. Low bidder was R.A. Walters at Cape Courthouse with a low bid of $117,776, and the high bid was $189,800. So there's a good low bidder, and then we had a lot of bidders kind of in that next tier and just increasing. So I feel we have a good responsive bidder.
So this is to replace the whole bulkhead?
The bulkhead, yes.
Now, is it going to be treated lumber or wood, or is it going to be that aluminum or whatever it
This
is?
is actually going to be a steel
The
cantilever
steel.
bulkhead, similar to what we have at Willard Avenue.
Okay.
By the Bluegill, just because of the exposure face. Because we have improvements behind it with the playground stuff, I did not want to put a traditional bulkhead that would have tiebacks, and that if we had to build something, or I didn't want that to be interfering with any improvements that we'd be doing on this. So this is a freestanding cantilever bulkhead. It's one reason why it's more expensive than the last 2 bulkheads we did that were more traditional vinyl timber bulkheads that you normally see along the
And they put caps on them, so, you know.
Put caps on it. I did give you a handout of the layout of the, I'll say the facility. Now we have these bids. Now I can finalize, I'll say the second scope of the project, which would be the landscaping and the laying out of the recreational facilities that we already have purchased, those
Right,
purchased.
Roy said that everything's done, purchased, right? We have it stored.
Everything's done.
So this will allow contractors to come in, we're gonna raise the grade up, 3 or 4 feet in that area, because we're raising the bulkhead up to, just to get it up out of, one of the problems we've always had there is when the storms come in with the fire mulch, half the fire mulch ends out in Bayview Avenue, clogging the storm drains, and it's a maintenance nightmare, so we're looking at putting in the solid surface, safety surface in there, but also raising it up so that it gets it up. Obviously, it's not gonna get it out of, I'll say, a Superstorm Sandy or Jonas flood, but it's gonna get us out of the routine flooding event, so we predominantly dry.
And this, by raising it up, will be equivalent to the two adjoining properties? So we won't have the washout and everything we're getting down the side.
So you're going to put the surface like they have on Golden Oak?
Yes. Yes.
Do you have a timeline for this?
I just have to find, once I wanted to show the committee as far as the general layout, I'll just have to add the details and I'll be going out to bid. Now that I know, the funding available, I'll be able to work up the final estimate with Laura that should certify the funds, and, we should be able to go out to bid so that it'll be constructed right behind when the bulkhead gets constructed.
So do we have to make a motion to accept the bid?
No, we're going to put on a resolution. It's going to be a resolution.
Okay.
But you would direct us to put a resolution on the next meeting for the low bidder, I would assume that's what you
Yeah,
want to go forward with the project.
So we need a motion on
Appropriated the
that?
budget.
It's in the box.
Well, the interior, the sideline retaining walls, is that going to go with the landscaping, or is that something that Waters is going to do also?
All of this will be done under a separate contract.
I'm going to ask. I just want to make sure.
Lowers will raise the grade generally right behind the bulkhead.
Right.
But theirs is just raising.
The retaining wall down the sides, that'll be a separate
That'll be a
bid.
separate
Right
contract.
now, you can probably get 1.5. Okay. Paul, just a question here. Is there any way that this at all could be tightened up a little bit and we could maybe add 4 parking spots? We have 50-foot of frontage. You can park maybe, 1.5 cars on the street?
It's difficult where the entire street is parallel parking to introduce 4 perpendicular parkings at a street end and in the middle of an intersection. We do have it down at the end of Commonwealth and going into the state park, and it's not the most safest functional spot to put parking.
But there's never been an accident there, has there?
Any problem with
That's because
emergency
there's no
vehicles?
but that's also on a dead-end street. It's not really where you'd have a lot of through traffic.
With the fall zones, do we have room to even make those adjustments?
You would be squeezing, moving some of the stuff. I don't know. I don't think it's the safest spot to introduce perpendicular parking.
But we do have 2 parking spots in front.
Yes, parallel parking space.
I just, I'm not trying to scuttle the project, but I mean, every time we have an opportunity to increase parking in Strathmere, where there's limited parking, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I can live with it, but I just think we need to try to, every time we have an opportunity, try to make some parking space over there, we need to do it.
Yeah. And then also, on the two, we're picking up in the back along the walkway, we're going to be picking up a fishing and crabbing area for the general public.
We have one there now.
Nah, it's gated, you can't get to it, really.
It's gated off, get to it.
So you're gonna have access to the bay?
Right.
Yeah,
On the back.
we're gonna put in like a safety gate where, it's a high latch, where the safety, where the children can't get to it, and it'll have an automatic closure on it so that it'll, close and return so that it won't be left open.
It's good.
So we're gonna increase the traffic to this parking lot.
Yeah, but you know what,
and have
Curtis,
less parking.
honestly, I think a lot of the people that'll be using this will be riding their bikes or walking.
Yeah.
I mean, they pretty much do that now locally with.
But I mean, I'm a township resident. If I wanna use it, I'm not gonna walk or ride my bike over there.
You won't need to use it if you walk that far.
There's not going to either. We're also installing some bike racks so you can ride your bicycle there.
I'll take my boat there.
I'd pay to see him ride his bike.
I think with the bicycles and the kids running in and out of this, limiting the amount of cars is going to be safer than having more cars parked. So I know what you
It gives
mean.
people bay access.
Yes.
That don't own a house there.
You know, I like that, that's a good thing.
Yep. Thanks, Paul.
All right, number 26.
We need some directions.
Oh, okay, so would someone like to make a motion to move forward for a resolution to accept the bid?
Motion to accept the bid.
A low bidder, right?
Low bidder.
Resolution.
Absolutely. It's a good company.
Call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Cape May County request for a resolution of support for a proposed shared use path on Roosevelt Boulevard over Crookhorn Creek.
That's a bike path over the 34th Street Bridge.
Yes.
Because of the activity that we've had with the bike steering committee and the DOT getting involved, they're really seeing Upper Township as the last linkage to connect the Atlantic County bike system and the Cape May County bike system, and essentially now, with the opening of the most recent portion of the bike path, essentially go from the Cape May Lewis Ferry all the way up just north of the courthouse. They see, and they already have some plans stuff into Dennis Township. They really see Upper Township as the last linkage to connect everything to there. And to that point, there's going to be some additional funding opportunities to do that, and some funding has come available for potentially for constructing either if it's a secondary bridge. If you look at the diagram, it'll be on the I guess the southerly side of the bridge where the power lines are, on the same side where the Ocean City Crew Boosters are wanting to build their facility. So it'll be a parallel bike structure to the existing bridge on that side of the bridge.
I mean, it'll certainly be safer because you see bikes on it now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously what they're looking for is
Are they going to do that when they do the second phase of the construction of Roosevelt Boulevard? I mean, the bridge?
It's a separate
It'll
project.
be probably much later, because at this point, this is just to get funding. They still have to design it and go through the permitting. So, the construction of this bridge would be 2-3 years out at best, but they have to start lining the construction funding.
And
up.
hopefully they coordinate it with the crew,
I'm sure they will.
Well, because on the other side, the Summers Point side, they're already doing that bike path on the old northbound that used to be available coming over the Beasley Point Bridge.
Well, I'd like to make a motion, we have a resolution on our next meeting.
second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Again next
Mayor
month.
Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mayor, before we go to the next item, could we also, I'd like to request, in this relation, in regards to Webster Avenue, the other improvements, if we could have a recommendation to go out to bid for those improvements, for the site improvements.
I'll make that
We had a resolution authorizing the bid for the bulkhead, and it may or may not have included the site improvements, but we would just like to make sure that
I'll make a motion to go out to bid on the second phase of
don't know what we
Webster
did.
Avenue.
Well, we don't know what we got a price on. You said it may or may not include the site work?
the bid that you received did not include the site work. I gave you a plan today
Okay.
of the draft of what the site work is going to look like. I still have to finalize those specifications so we can put that work out to bid.
Oh, okay.
And I just need I need a resolution authorizing that bid to go out to bid.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 27, Country Shore Women's Club requests to hold a bingo, BA 479, and a raffle, RA 480, on October 14th at the Upper Township Community Center.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion to pay the bills?
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into the full minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
There are a number of reports from the municipal departments, the clerk's office, construction, finance office, municipal court, and tax collector. All those reports will be available upon request tomorrow at the clerk's office, but I'll make a motion to accept these reports.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
So at this time, we've reached the public comment portion of the meeting. Would anyone like to address the Township Committee? Now's the time to do so. Please state your name and your address, if you would, for the record.
Wanda Addison, 15 South Sunset Drive, Petersburg. First remark is that the last video recording of this meeting that I watched, I can now hear this side, but Paul myself can't hear over here.
Okay.
I was curious as to when the webpage is going to be revamped now that it's been approved for someone to do that.
We're in the process of working with Suzations, the new vendor, to come up with the overall flow of the website. We're just about there. Been working with Paul and the vendor on that. We have made some subtle changes to the existing. As far as the timeline that is concerned, we probably have several more weeks of work to do that.
So just because I think that's a really valid question. So in the event that a storm would occur where we would use the webpage as an informational source, it's available at this.
There's absolutely no changes there. Yes, we are still using, just like we just put the information up regarding the lifeguards and it's within minutes we can change the format to an emergency related format, yes.
Okay.
Your last meeting had some question about Route 50 and traffic, and so it was suggested, and I suppose you were going to ask the state as to what improvements could be done, whether it be speed, signage, whatever. One suggestion I have is that when they put the new light at Old Corson Road and 50, they put a sign that not only says traffic, but it says when it's red, they give people that extra caution that, it's turning, prepare to slow down, not just that there's light ahead. Because currently that's what it is, it's just a picture of traffic signaling and flashing for people to know that it's ahead. So that's one suggestion. But also, I hope you're going to mention anything that can improve the lowering of the speed limit or the following of the lower speed limit through Tuckahoe. You put off the gas when it says lower speed, and by the time you get to that sign that says 30, there's 140 you pass, and 30, you're going 30. I know people line up behind me in either direction, it's because I'm going slow, but that's the speed limit. And I just wish more would observe it.
So you're saying as you're heading towards 49, like back by, I guess even before the community center, you want some kind of warning signs to slow down?
Whether it be, well, if there is, it's reduced speed
Reduced speed
ahead.
ahead.
It's 40, then it's reduced speed ahead again, you're done, and it says 30. But if people simply took their foot off the gas when it says reduced speed, they'd be fine. But whether it be a blinking light like Ocean City and other towns have, Venice, that says what your speed is to observe, you're not doing
The digital.
the sign.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we talked about earlier. Those digital signs are very effective where it gives you your speed limit where you're at or your speed at the point where you reach the sign.
The problem is it's easier to post them on a county or a municipal road. On a state highway, it's a little difficult. But the state police were very active in last winter, I believe. They were in there very actively patrolling and enforcing the speed limits. And maybe we could ask them.
When it's needed.
Yeah, maybe we could ask the state police to make a presence in there. If they sit there for 2 or 3 days, everybody will get the message to slow down.
When the water tower was going to be behind Acme, I assumed there was no environmental issues there, because that's where the Parkway exit 20, there was a problem years ago, environmental issues were considered, so there was none when the water tower was put in?
No, well, it got all the approvals that were needed for it to be built.
The problem is the Parkway interchange would actually be involved in filling some wetlands. Where the actual water tower sits, there's no wetlands in that proximity.
And when you're talking about improvements and the bike trails, are you aware of an organization called Rails to Trails? And grant money that's available to that. They do have a map on there as to the current rail trail and what's proposed to link
Actually, we pursued using the railroad track as it exists now into Ocean City. Well, no, but we had pursued, we really had looked into making that a bike path. In fact, we had talked to the county about it. But at the time, and it's still owned by Pennsylvania Railroad or something, and they wouldn't relinquish the rights to the track at the time. So, I mean, we are pursuing it because, I've always felt that that's a great area to even walk out if you're bird watching or doing something like that into the marshlands. And at first, we had talked about putting, like asphalt, and that really didn't sit well with the DEP, but then we talked about putting like oyster shells or clam shells, that kind of thing. And then there was some resistance saying that when the tide rose that they would, float away. So, but I don't want you to think we haven't looked at it, because that's something we've looked at for probably at least 10 years now.
15. And the problem is the primary railroad bed that would be most suited for a bicycle path is actually still used by a train.
Right. Yeah, so that's where there's all the Ocean City is.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, it appears is that there's no other public comment, so I'll close the public comment portion of the meeting and turn to Mr. Coggins to read us to go into executive session.
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters are contract negotiations with Beacon Animal Rescue, our Market to Affordable program, our NJDEP site access agreement for Block 350, Lot 12, our Cape May County open space land acquisition, our Cape May County MUA host community benefit agreement, special legal counsel for employment and labor law matters, and our paving projects, also personnel. I also include in my motion the estimated time and circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Forson?
Yes.
Mr. Young is absent. Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
So would someone like to, so we've made the motion with executive session. I'll tell you all to have a great evening and drive safely home. Thank you.
Thank you.